don't really want people in my life that complain about everything. I just don't. And I feel like you shouldn't either.
In a full year, and that lets you save. Who cares?
Welcome to a brand new edition of Ageless Energy, where we talk about how to burn fat, increase energy, and balance hormones for women over 40. Over the past 20 years as a performance coach, I've worked with hundreds of women that have the exact same struggles you do. I hope to shine some light with this podcast on what can be the most challenging time of your life and let you know there is hope to find success with your health and what you're looking for. Please share and enjoy. All right, so this monologue, this solo conversation was inspired by two different people. Now I'm going to try to get through this and just share my thoughts openly. I haven't really shared, I'm not sure if I shared on this topic in particular, but I feel like it's worth addressing. I woke up inspired this morning. Share what could help many people in different ways. Now, the problem is that when I talk about complaining, anyone could be offended because we probably all complain on some level. So that's in part why I haven't really talked about it before. But I want to give you a different perspective of what complaining has to offer and how it reduces your quality of life and how toxic and how detrimental it is to you at the core level, not just being someone that complains often, but someone that accepts that in their life. So the first example I'll give you is some of you have heard I was accepted into this 100 Club competition with very successful people. And the host, one of the first things he said was, so for a bit of context, it's a business group. It's an online business group. Again, very successful individuals. It is basically free coaching to help you succeed for a limited amount of time, almost as an experiment. I'm not sure if all that matters, but here's the point is that he said, he said, as soon as we got started, if you complain, you're dead to me. And I thought, wow, like obviously that's a bold statement, but I just thought it was so clear and so direct that in this room, there will be no complaining permitted. And I just thought, what a great statement that is, because you're setting a precedence immediately before things start. Like, don't come in here and complain. And if you listen to him talk about this in other areas of business and life, this individual in particular doesn't accept complaining in his place of business. He doesn't accept any type of friends that complain in his life. And I just thought, like, that's what we live by. And as I get older, I have this growing intolerance for people that complain because I understand how toxic it is, not just for the individual and what they're doing to themselves, but what they're doing to me in my environment, whether that's in our client area or our client community or my personal life. And okay, I'm going to get into the toxicity of complaining, but I wanted to give you a foundation or a base to go off of and why I'm so passionate about this. And I'm not the only one, I suppose. There's other, and I feel like there's very successful people that live a certain way and they live by certain rules or laws, if you will, of their own that they create for themselves. And this one is so powerful to not have people complain in your life. I want to dedicate this show to a friend of mine. His name is Chris, and I used to talk to him almost every day, and he passed away. And he sent me a shirt. One of my shows, I said, train your brain not to complain. And it just came out. I didn't plan it. And he was watching the show, and I was like, I laughed. I was like, that's amazing. Put it on a t-shirt. So he actually sent me, he had the shirt custom made. He mailed it to me. And I wear it often. And unfortunately, Chris isn't around for me to talk to. It's a bit emotional for me just to think about, but he's not around for me to talk about. But he's always around. Talk to. He's not around for me to talk to, but he's always around. And there's probably not a day that goes by if I wear that shirt in public that someone doesn't comment on the shirt. And I think that's him. And he was like very upbeat, positive individual, would shine light anywhere he went. And I feel like when I wear that shirt, he's with me. And those comments that come in, I feel like are coming from him. And all it says is train your brain not to complain. And so many people think that's like a profound statement we're going to do something else business wise with those shirts. Side note, but so many people think that's like a profound statement or can resonate with it because we complain. Like we complain as a society. Like that's our default. It's that negative mindset of like, what's not going right in my life and how can I project that on other people? And that's what really bothers me about complaining is that people don't realize how detrimental that is to other people. And here's the thing is that we've trained our brains to complain. Well, we've trained our brains to complain. So everywhere we go, we complain about something. And I'm guilty of this too. And I try very hard not to complain. And here's the thing is that I have high expectations. So let's say I have high expectations of businesses because we put in a lot of time and effort in our business to make it great. And that's our goal, is to continue to improve our business in many different ways. Customer service is important to me. That really used to bother me, like customer service in particular, because it's important to me as a person. It's important to me as a business owner. So we try to do everything we can to offer a great customer experience. And it's so I guess for me, I have to think to myself, business is hard. Incredibly hard. It's fine. It's hard to find employees. It's hard to train employees. It's hard to get employees to stick around. And that really helps me not complain when I'm getting really bad customer service or I pay for a product that is junk. And I feel like that's important for us to try to put yourself in other people's shoes. So as a business owner, instead of me having so high expectations that they're hard to meet, I try to lower my expectations. And I say to myself, you know what? This business owner could be trying very hard and for whatever reason, it's just not working out. So that allows me to give them some grace. And just like think about a restaurant, for example. My gosh, I have a couple friends that own restaurants, and the challenges that they go through on a regular basis of complaints of this food is late. This food is cold. This food, I had someone sit with us one time and part of their food, their carb was touching their meat and they didn't want it. So they sent it back. And I thought to myself, like, what happened in your life that you feel that is worth complaining about, right? Like it was mind boggling. But the thing is that we complain so much that we don't even know we're complaining anymore. It's just a conversation. Now I had a point about that. I didn't want to miss it about the food. And like, you have to realize there's real problems in the world. And I feel like sometimes people are complaining because they don't have, there's got to take this one with a grain of salt. This is going to be a tough one for some people, but some people just don't have real challenges in their life. So they're like, what can I complain about? And many people haven't really gone through a lot of hardship or a lot of challenges. A lot of people have been that's just the world we live in. A lot of people have been spoon-fed. A lot of people have been spoon-fed. A lot of people may have had their parents do everything for you. You have the silver spoon kids that have always had money. I'll tell you a quick story. In Los Angeles, we spent a lot of time in Los Angeles. We don't have anyone from the Valley in my close community, but I have met a good handful of women in Los Angeles that are from the Valley. And like, it's a prestigious, it's an expensive place to live. These big like mansions they're like estates, but they're like in the Valley and they come down to civilization and they think they're like entitled. And this is my perspective. I could be completely wrong, or if you're listening from the Valley, you're going to be upset, but like they're spoiled brats. They are spoiled brats and they have gone through zero hardship. Their daddy has given them everything, and anything that comes up, they complain about, and they think that that's challenging part of their life. And I think to myself, an extreme example is my food is touching. I need to complain about this. And I just think like, what a waste. Like what a waste of your time to be complaining about that instead of focusing on something more positive or more enjoyable. It's a waste for the restaurant. It's a waste for the waitress. The owner may hear about it. Like, what an absolute waste of time. It's a tragedy that people complain about that kind of stuff. And of course, like I said, that's an extreme example, but it happens. And I feel like it happens because we don't have any real problems in our life to worry about. So we have to make things up. So let me come back to your surroundings and your environment. Like, I don't really want people in my life that complain about everything. I just don't. And I feel like you shouldn't either. I really mean that. I feel like you should, when we talk about toxic people, when we talk about eliminating people that drain the life out of you, we all have people in our life that just feel like they need to verbal vomit all over us. Like every single little problem they have, they just dump on you. And that weighs on your shoulders. Like, I don't feel like those are the people that should be in your life. You're allowing them to negatively affect your life on a regular basis. And we have I've had someone in my life and they complained a lot. Like, we went out one time and they complained about something wasn't cooked properly. So they sent it. This is a different story. This is a restaurant, different story, different person, different restaurant. They complained something wasn't cooked properly. So they sent it back. And like, okay, maybe that, and I'm saying, like, again, you got to take this with a grain of salt. Don't take it out of context. Sure, once in a while, send something back. Or if something really is really disappointing, I'll tell you this real quick. I went to a restaurant. Gosh, what was it? It was called not Puddle Jumper. Anyways, I was with some friends in LA and I went to this restaurant and everyone was there for like big pieces of meat. And like, I don't have any problem with that. I was just there. I got this sweet potato and it was like cooked perfectly. And it had like a little drizzle of brown sugar and they put a little sprinkle of brown sugar and a little drizzle of honey. It was beautiful. And like sweet potatoes need more sweetness or more sugar, right? So and I went back to another time and it was so disappointing. They put it was burnt. They burnt the sweet potato, which is hard to do. They put like a clump of sugar on it and there was like honey, like it was a mess. So I was like, hey guys, I came here. Sounds crazy going to a restaurant for a sweet potato, but I was like, I came here for this sweet potato and you completely destroyed it. So I'm not saying you should never complain. And it's different, right? Like if there's an issue that comes up, if there's a problem that needs to be addressed, the problem is with a conversation like this, like I don't love these types of conversations. I just feel like it's worth sharing, is that people will complain. They're going to be like, oh, I just had a problem with an order one time. I didn't mean to complain, or I don't know. Like I'll tell you this story. I used to be a head strength and conditioning coach for a college. And there, at least to me, there was this coach that seemed like he cared. I seemed like he really cared. And he brought in, I don't know if they were professional. We were at a college. So I don't know if he brought in university or professional players. I don't want to mention the team just in case anyone was around listening. But he seemed like he put in effort and he wanted to care. And of course there was some discipline and the girls hated him. They really did. They would talk so badly about him. And I thought, at least from where I'm, and I don't know. I wasn't in there on team meetings. Didn't travel with them, but he seemed like he put in a lot of effort for them to succeed. And again, this is just my perspective, but there was so many of them complaining. It completely skewed his sense of caring. And I think it's a little bit different. Like sports is a little bit different because passion, like if anyone listened to or watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, he wasn't a great teammate. I shouldn't say that. He was a great teammate on the court. All he wanted to do was win. But he didn't seem like he hung out with his friend. Like he didn't seem like he hung out with his teammates before the game. He was like isolated in a room with like security. It's kind of odd. They didn't really say much about that. I don't know why that happened, but he got in like fist fights with his teammates. He would push his teammates till some would break. I mean, that's a little bit, and he was so passionate. That was, of course, like the extreme end. He was so passionate that, of course, he won lots of championships. So I guess that it can be taken, like I feel like in sports, passion can be taken negatively in many different ways. Like if you're upset after a game, I had this conversation with my wife, you're upset after a game and maybe you break something or you have a little tantrum. I'm getting slightly off topic, but it's more challenging to understand passion or how much you actually really care for something in that intense type of environment. Most of us don't live in that type of environment on a regular basis. So let me get back on track here. It's really challenging to be around people that complain about everything if you're not used to that. So this one individual at a restaurant sent something back, like it wasn't all that polite about it. Another time I was in a different atmosphere with them and they complained about, let's just say the tables. It wasn't the tables, it was something else. They complained about the tables and then they wanted to meet and at another time. And all I could think about was we've only met, that was just 2 times. We've met a couple other times where they didn't complain, but it seemed like it was a growing problem. And all I could think about was them complaining and how I didn't want to be around that. So unfortunately, don't think that's going to work out. But here's the thing is that you have to decide what types of people you want in your life. And you have to decide what's important and what isn't. To me, having a supportive, happy, happy, positive environment is very important. It's very important. So one of the top things on my list. And some days, like, I wake up grumpy, or I wake up unmotivated or emotionally drained, and I need more positivity in my life. And sometimes I'll say it to my wife. I'll say, I'm having a challenge this morning. I need some extra positivity. And that's all I have to say. And she'll be more upbeat than usual. And if you know her, she's quite upbeat. So, but we need people in our lives to create that positivity. So if you're hanging around the water, in the coffee, what do you call it? The coffee room, the coffee house, the coffee house. You're hanging around the water. Gosh, what's wrong with me? You're hanging around the staff room and everyone's complaining. You're in the wrong place. If you want to pick up a phone and start complaining, like if you were to look at Google reviews, I could guarantee there is way more negative reviews than positive. If you're spending too much time on social media and you're looking at a thread and all you see people is complaining, I was watching this, like, social media is so toxic, and you could be watching this listening or watching this on social media, but you have to look for the positive things because there's so much negative. If you're looking at, for example, I was looking at this thread of a neighborhood. It was a really nice neighborhood. And this individual said they were asked to do a podcast on the news, or a news podcast to highlight that area. And she said, hey, could you give me some of your favorite things to do in this area, or things that you love about it? And the whole conversation turned about how the neighborhood's not like it used to be, how there's more crime, how it's dirty. Like, it was this crazy thread. And I was like, what am I doing reading this? And that's what I said to myself mentally. And I stopped. I was like, this is not beneficial. I love that neighborhood. It's very close to where we live. It's a super cool place, like incredible history, great buildings. And all people could do was, and then these are the people that live there, all they could do was complain about it. Like, if you want to complain about it, then leave, like, go somewhere else. That's like, I'm not going to get into politics, but that's like when people complain about the country they live in. People move countries all the time. And I think, like, if you really hate your country or your province or your state, then move. Like, it's not that hard. And if you spent all the time and effort that you put into complaining about something to change your situation, you would be way better off. And I work hard to protect our environment. I really do. And it's not easy. Like, some days it's absolutely draining. And I had someone, a client pop in, they were new, and it was a week or 10 days. And they sent me 2 long messages of everything that just complaints of everything that they weren't happy with. And I said, you know what? This isn't for you. This environment isn't for you. This program isn't for you. Like, unfortunately, you're in the wrong spot, because we don't accept people that just sit there and complain for no reason. Like, clearly this person was conditioned to complain, and we made it so they could easily move on, because I don't want those types of people in my life. And again, my point is that I don't think you should accept that in your life. You should make positive changes and improvements. And again, it's not easy. Like, there's so many people that complain. There's so many negative and toxic people. And the thing is, when you continually complain about something, you're looking for things to complain about. And think about that for a moment, because it could be just a moment. It could be a day. It could be an hour. You wake up and maybe for who knows what reason, you're not in a great mood, didn't sleep well, and you start complaining about something. Then you start complaining about more things. And then you're looking for other things to complain about. And if you don't have someone to snap yourself out of it, your whole day is just a whole bunch of complaints. And that needs to stop. And I mean, this sounds maybe cliche or oversimplified, but for me, the only real thing out of that is people in my community, and considering how supported we are and how many amazing people are in our life. That's number one. And putting your mind back into a state of gratitude. And that is consciously thinking about what you're grateful for. And it could be the simplest things. And I'm telling you, like, this is life changing. And that will move you away from being someone that just complains about nothing, because you have nothing else to think about or talk about, or that's the only place your brain goes, is that I have to continually complain about something. And it's not like it's always the same people, right? You'll see it. Like, you'll see them, how they talk on social media. You'll see how they post. One of the things I would like to ask of you guys is that some of you know that I don't run ads on the show and don't plan on in the immediate future. So the only ask I have for you is that you help us spread the word so we can help more women burn body fat, increase energy, and balance their hormones. And the only way that we can do that is if you can rate and review this podcast. So the single thing that I could have you do, or could ask of you, is to leave a review. It'll take 5 minutes or one swipe of the thumb. It would mean the absolute world to me. And more importantly, you could change the world for someone else. As many of you know, there's plenty of women that struggle in this age group for balancing hormones, increasing energy, and burning body fat. So if you could help spread the word, that would make a big difference in our life and probably someone else's as well. And like, if someone's new to my social media, I use very few social media because of this. I use a little bit of Instagram for personal because I enjoy flipping through some posts. I use that very seldom. I use Facebook for business, and we are slowly moving away from that. Otherwise, I'm not on it. I'm telling you, I'm not on it like most of the world because of this. Because I know that my time is important, my brain is important, where my focus is important, and in most cases, we're hanging out in the wrong areas. And I mean hanging out like mentally, sometimes physically, emotionally, you're in the wrong places. And if someone pops into my newsfeed and it's this big rant, I'm out. Like there's a number of things that you can do if you didn't know on social media. You can unfollow someone or unfriend them. You can snooze them for 30 days, and then you can block them or restrict them completely. And I do all on a regular basis because what I see in my vision is important to me, and that will form my ultimate reality in life. So the thoughts we think, like what we see, the thoughts we think, the words we speak, the actions that we take, all form our reality. And if you don't guard your mindset, if you don't guard your vision and your thoughts and your words, everything you say matters. And every time you open your mouth, or most of the time, it's some type of complaint. Think about that for a moment. From one person that all they do is complain, or it's negative, and the other person that it's always gratitude, they're always thankful for something, or they're always positive about something. Think about those two people's paths in life and how successful one would be versus the other. And like I said, it seems to be because we attract that, right? You attract, if you're a negative person, you attract more negative things in your life. I'm not saying you can't change that. That's why I'm hoping that this conversation will help inspire some people to change their situation and their state of mind and state of being. But if you're always complaining, you attract more people that complain. If you're always upset about something, you find more things to be upset about. So it's like, oh, why does this always happen to me? And I'm like, it's not an accident. If you always have something to complain about, like some people could be like, okay, that happened. I'm going to allow some grace because I'm not perfect. And then you have another person that's like, didn't happen right. I'm like, it's reactive, right? There's not a whole lot of thought process behind it. It's just like, I've been wronged. Something's wrong with this situation. I have to say something. And that's maybe anxiety, maybe a little bit of thoughtfulness, mindfulness, deep breathing would help those types of people. We had this conversation with Dorothy. I'm a much different person now. I had a different life, and I was a different person, and I was a reactive person. And if I felt like I have a hard time biting my tongue, but I think about it. And like, just for example, just yesterday, we're working on designing a new product, and the people I'm working with are very challenging to work with. And I wrote an email that I would have sent a handful of years ago. And I said, you know what? Not going to send it. I'm going to, and I've done this. I do this quite regularly. Actually, this could be a good tool for you. Like if you want to write something, or if you feel like you need to release or say something, write it down, but don't send it and think about it. I think there's someone that teaches, like, I don't know what it is, 24-hour rule, or take 10 breaths before you say anything. There's probably a dozen different things you can do. That's probably more around anger management, but I didn't send the email. And I feel like I would like to possibly work with these people in the future. So I said, what's a more positive spin I can put in this? What am I appreciating? What could be adjusted? How can I be a better communicator to help the situation improve? That is a clear and healthy mindset. The opposite is lashing out and blaming everyone else, taking no accountability, no responsibility, and everything that's going wrong in this world is someone else's fault. Very different person. Now, if you feel like that could be you, you can take steps to change that. You can be conscious of the things that you're complaining about. And are they really worth complaining about? I would think that. And this has happened to me before. And I thought to myself, I could be upset at this restaurant. What happened? Oh, I'll tell you, we were at this restaurant and they brought one dish out. It was a very interesting experience. And I can laugh about it because I'm in a different state of mind. They brought what I think they brought 2 or 3 dishes out. We ordered a 4th, and we were done that. We were done. It was sushi. We were done those plates. We all shared, and they didn't bring extra plates. So Dorothy my wife used a napkin for her plate. They didn't bring any water by. They brought some tea. They didn't come by and refill the tea. From my understanding, most places bring you tea. They completely forgot. So I finally went up there and I was like, hey, are you guys bringing this dish? And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot about it. And then so I went back to the table. Do you guys want they still want to order it. So they ended up bringing that order, but it wasn't a great experience. And I thought to myself, what value do I have complaining to the staff? We didn't have the conversation about complaining around the table. It was just like, whatever, that's what happened. Let's deal with it. Like, let's focus on enjoying our company and enjoying one another. That wasn't what was said, but that's what was. So what value do I have in complaining around the table? What value is it going to offer me to go and tell them? And I've thought about in the past writing like really bad reviews. I've written a couple like not so nice reviews, and I've written a lot of nice reviews. And I thought, oh, this is my mind. I'm going to leave them a bad review. And I thought, what a waste of my time. Like, I could be doing 100 other things, but I'm not going to go sit there and write a mean or angry or miserable review just because it'll make me feel better. Like, what value does that offer me in my life? Zero. So at any rate, I want to wrap this up. This is definitely a bit longer than I planned. I hope this offers some insight, and I hope this offers some value and helping. I would like to ignite or initiate or help you generate change in your life. Like, if you listen to this and don't take any action and you continue to complain, or you continue to allow people that complain in your life, then you didn't get anything out of it. And I'm hoping something different for you. I'm hoping that you decide who you choose in your life. I'm hoping that you might consider changing your words and your actions. I'm hoping that you can have a positive and happy life. And again, it takes work to continue to remove people that are negative in your life. That's number one. The flip side of that is it takes work to continually be negative and allow negative people in your life. So you choose which you want in your life, because it's going to be work either way. Some people choose to allow that to come in their life. The energy it takes to always complain, to always have issues. Like, if you're that person, change your situation, change your thoughts, change your words, start to attract better people in your life, and you will slowly become that happy, positive, upbeat people that people want to be around you. Like, sometimes we don't have a lot of friends, or we don't have a lot of acquaintances. And you could look at two sides. You could have less because you have higher expectations, or you could have less because people don't necessarily want you around. And that's just a hard truth because of the negative words that continue to come out of your mouth. We have taken people off our email lists. We have taken people off our text lists. Like, they didn't ask to come off. They would complain about something. And I'm like, you know what? Don't want that person as a customer, because you know what's going to happen. It's a repetitive process. That person is going to complain about something else in the future, guaranteed. And I don't want to deal with that. So goodbye. Big shout out to Chris. Train your brain to complain. This show is definitely dedicated to him. Train your brain not to complain. You have the power to do that and be that type of person. And I hope you take action towards that.